Hi, welcome back. Today we are going to do a little bit of a combo video here. I am probably the last person on the planet to review the new Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin Foundation for a reason. It's a very complex formula. And I thought we would just kind of do a full face of Makeup by Mario because I have enough of his products that I can do an entire complete look. And I just kind of wanted to switch it up from like a traditional foundation review, but emphasis on this new formula. So let's go ahead and get into it. I got the shade 2N in the Surreal Skin Foundation. So this has kind of been, it's been a little bit of a controversial formula the past couple weeks as people have been purchasing it and trying it. And I'll just read you the description. It says it's a breathable, luminous foundation that effortlessly builds and blends to illuminate the complexion with customizable, long-wearing coverage. It's supposed to have a natural finish and it's supposed to be hydrating with medium coverage. So definitely solid medium. I would even go to the links to say that this is a medium full coverage formula. I was actually very surprised to see how much coverage it does have. So actually like half a pump. Well, there's two ways that I feel that you can wear this, and I'm going to talk about that. If you guarantee want super natural, I personally think you need to use a beauty blender with this because it is definitely more pigment, more coverage than what I was expecting. So he launched the this foundation brush with it, and lovely brush. Kudos to the design of this. I've really been enjoying it. But if you do use a brush with it, you are going to get maximum coverage. And what I have found is that an entire pump for my face with this brush is too much. I actually, I'm gonna do one side with a brush, one side with a beauty blender, and I am just gonna go ahead and do about a half a pump because that should be good. But I did a little try on with this foundation on my Instagram and also TikTok, and I got a lot of comments. And this was not a stan video. I wasn't trying to say like, oh, look at this beautiful foundation. I actually didn't even talk in it at all. And I got a few comments from people saying, I love how honest a lot of you are, sometimes a little too honest. But I got a few comments saying, I don't love the way this looks on you. I think your skin looks great normally, but something about this I do not love. And in that video, I did an entire full pump on my face with the brush. Another thing to know about this formula that has been probably the hardest thing for me to get past is that it does have these really strange silver glitter particles. And I'm not just talking like micro glitter. I was actually at my Sephora a few days ago, and the sun was gleaming in on the entire Makeup by Mario, you know, Surreal Skin Foundation setup. I was shocked to see, because I've had this bottle for, like I said, 3 weeks, but I haven't had it, I guess, in direct sunlight like that, where you could see how big the particles were, and also that they do possess this just silver, like reflective property. I'm gonna be honest, I never like to see that in foundation. I think if you have young, flawless skin, it's not gonna be an issue, but when you start running into, you know, mature skin types, any type of texture, that's where, you know, any type of glitter particle is going to become an issue. It really will enhance that. And I have to say, there were a few days where, like in that video, I did a full pump, I used my brush, and my texture was popping. I'm talking popping. Really quickly, I'm going to pause just to show you. This was probably like a fourth or a third. Here's the pump that I did on the back of my hand. This was probably like a third or a fourth of that pump. And you can see, I mean, this is pretty much complete coverage. And I've manipulated this today. I did not put anything glowy underneath it, any type of like hydrating primer, because for me, it's just too much. I often talk about the rule of balance in makeup. And so for example, if you're using an ultra glowy primer, an ultra glowy foundation, and then an ultra glowy highlight on top, it's just too much. There's nothing to balance that out. This formula is pretty glowy. I mean, like I said, I had nothing on, but actually I use the Rare Beauty Primer, and I find that it tends to mattify my skin a little bit. And I still have like a natural glow coming from within. Anytime I used, you know, like my heavy moisturizer or anything hydrating or luminous underneath, absolutely too much, too much. So if I am applying with a brush, this is how I like to do it. Just very small amount with basic primer, basic moisturizer, nothing ultra glowy underneath. So moving on to this side, we're gonna go ahead and use the Beauty Blender. This is where I found that I kind of like it the most. I just feel like it's in a natural state. If some of you all already have this, I probably feel like this is gonna be your preferred method because it just shears it out a little bit, makes it a bit more natural. For me, I've just found that it sits better on my skin when I use the Beauty Blender formula, and honestly still manages to give a decent amount of coverage. Okay, so here we are. One side, Beauty Blender, do have a little bit more radiance happening on the Beauty Blender side, but also on the brush side, I think you can definitely see there's slightly more coverage happening here. What I want you to take away from this formula is that I think it can be manipulated to suit your specific skin type, just like I was talking about how, you know, for me, absolutely using any type of luminous or hydrating primer underneath is a no-go because it's just too much. Maybe you really like that ultra glowy vibe and super luminous look. That's something that you will definitely get with this foundation. I am using it right now. I know some of you are probably looking at my skin right now and you're like, it's not that luminous. It's because I've manipulated it in a way to where it is probably in its most natural state. If I would have used an entire pump, keep in mind, I only used half a pump and then like a third of that for each side of my face. If I would have used an entire pump, regardless of if I use the Beauty Blender or the brush, you would have seen, I'll actually just insert the photo of my skin and what it looked like when I used an entire pump. So I don't think my skin looks bad by any means in this foundation. And truly, when it comes to the glitter particles, I can only see them when I'm like this, like I have to be right up next to the mirror to actually see them. But something about it, and I have to call out the glitter particles because I just feel like that's notorious for texture. I feel like brings out the texture in my cheeks. When I look at my cheeks, I just feel like I see my pores much more than I do with other formulas that I feel are better suited for my skin type. So needless to say, this has not been my favorite formula to date. I really think that most of you will have to work with this to manipulate it to fit your specific skin type. If it is one that you have really been enjoying, let me know what your preferred method is, or if you've been doing some hacks, an application to make it work for you. But as someone with a pretty like even complexion right now, I'm not dealing with a ton of redness. We've got that cleared up. I just feel like I should be seeing less texture in the cheek area. So longevity, by the end of the day, it's generally hanging in there pretty good. I will say I don't think that the texture gets any better throughout the day. I definitely still feel like I notice it. But as far as it staying on my skin, I don't have any issues. Again, I have a dry skin type, so that tends to, you know, help your makeup cling on a little bit more, but longevity has not been an issue for me. So my takeaway from Surreal Skin Foundation, if you have texture, if you have mature skin, I would caution, and I'm just throwing out a caution. Does that mean that it's not going to work for you? Absolutely not. I just want you to be aware that if I'm noticing a little bit of texture happening, not necessarily sitting on my skin or the most flattering, I think the best way to use this product is carefully, possibly even mixing a little bit of your moisturizer in with it to help it become a little bit more skin-like. Definitely more happy when I used a basic, you know, just natural primer on my skin because I was just way too glowy. It was way too much. So I've found my balance, but again, still not my favorite formula or release of the year, unfortunately. Maybe it'll come around. Maybe I'll find a different way, but at 3 weeks right now, I'm just going to say for me, it was a little complex, a little hard to figure out. And at the end of the day, definitely not a favorite formula for me right now. Okay, moving forward, let's talk about one of my favorite products of 2022. We're gonna sink into something that I really have enjoyed and used quite frequently. It's been in my project pan for months now, and I am nowhere close to being out of it. I mean, I seriously use this almost every single day, but it's the SoftSculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer. This is the cream one, and I mean, you can see the dent that I have in it. Now, whenever I was first testing the Surreal Skin Foundation out, I was, you know, using like my glowy base and this on top, way too much. Like this bronzer within itself is very glowy. So I would caution, but with the way that I've applied the foundation today to have a little bit more of that like natural finish, not give off as much luminosity, the bronzer works perfectly fine. But I just love this formula. I think it's so sheer, very user friendly. If you're someone that struggles with cream bronzer, this is a really good, I mean, look at it. It's almost just like, you know, like that Mary Phillips technique where she goes in and uses bronzer contour before foundation. This is almost that vibe. It just gives you a soft, shadowy effect. I don't know if I said I use light medium. I also really like the color of the light medium. It has a little bit more of a red undertone to it. So you can kind of see what I'm talking about here with the cream bronzer. Very luminous. And so using this with that Surreal Skin Foundation, I think almost made it worse for me when I'm talking about in terms of my initial impression of it, because I was just like, holy cow, I could not tone it down. And if I keep referring to this specific video where I used all of these cream products, Makeup by Mario cream products, and people were just like, whoa, maybe you need like some setting powder. And I trust me, like if you go full out with that foundation, something about it, the setting powder, it just broke through. So yeah, you can imagine like this is what we got going on after using the cream bronzer. With that foundation, it was just a little bit too much. Moving into some blush, I have the Soft Pop blush stick in Soft Coral. Now, believe it or not, I used to be on the Makeup by Mario PR team. Like when the company first launched, I got this huge box, like a couple of boxes with their blushes, his cream bronzers, his cream blushes. And at the time that the company launched, I was still helping a photographer in town do some freelance. So there's a really beautiful selection in these cream blushes. And there's also a Soft Pop. I don't know, it may not be called Soft Pop, but there's a cream bronzer version in this stick form too. And I really love them, and I thought they came in a great shade selection. So I moved them to my kit, and I only kept a couple of the blushes for myself, and this was one of them. It's not the most neutral tone. You can see it's definitely a true coral, but there were some beautiful colors in this lineup, and I really have no complaints with them. Like I said, I use them on clients, and I always thought that they look gorgeous. They're not too luminous, definitely not as luminous as the cream bronzer, but they will give you a soft glow. So this shade right here is not my first pick. He has several more that are much more neutral. Would definitely recommend checking those out because they truly are. There are a lot of stunning shades available in these Soft Pop blushes. So this was a very recent purchase. I purchased it for this video because I didn't have any of the powder bronzers. This is the SoftSculpt Transforming Skin Perfector, the powder version. So pretty much kind of like a blush and a bronzer and a powder highlighter mixed together. I have actually thoroughly been enjoying this, especially with my foundations that have a little bit more of a natural finish to them. I have one that I've been using like every single day, again, that I'm going to talk about on Thursday. And this looks so good with it because it almost just sets my makeup in place without having to go in with an extra powder. And it does add a little bit of glow from the highlighter side in here. But if I, you know, don't want a ton of glow happening, I kind of just focus my brush on the end here and just pick up the bronzer portion. But actually really lovely formula. I like how it just balances. It gives a nice little balance to my complexion. And multi-purpose. Like, I don't use highlighter or an additional bronzer when I wear this normally. So I want to do my lip before my eye makeup. I'm not really sure why. I like to do that sometimes. And I have two of the Plumping Glow Serums. This is the Moisture Glow Plumping Lip Serum. I have two. I have Bronze Glow and I have Pink Glow. Bronze Glow I've had for several months now. I have to admit that I don't reach for it often. The color is pretty, but these are like very melty formulas. I will say they're not long wearing, but they do look really pretty on. They have a very glossy high shine finish, and I've actually been enjoying the Pink Glow one a lot more. So I'm going to use that with the Ultra Suede lip pencil in Smoky Pink. I picked this up recently for this video. I love a good classic sharpening style lip pencil. It's very reminiscent of MAC days to me, which they had some of the best lip liners on the planet. But this is a really good formula. It's super creamy, and I found that it stays on for a good amount of time. It's not as dry as the Charlotte Tilbury formula. I think that's what really makes those super long wearing, but a lot of people don't like that dry texture. So yeah, this one goes on very, very smooth, and I would say decent longevity for the lips. It's got a little brush on it, so I'm just going to use that to feather. Okay, I got a little bit closer so you can see. This is Pink Glow. Really doesn't have much color to it at all. It's pretty sheer, but something about that I like. I like over the Bronze Glow one. And these have like a mild minty feel. They're supposed to be plumping. I mean, they're not like buxom status. It's just like this mild, you'll feel this mild tingle. And I wouldn't even call it a tingle. Just like when you breathe in, it's almost like, you know, peppermints on your lips or something. All right, let's get Miss Popular out here. This is the Ethereal Eyes palette. I've already done a video using this palette, but here we are again. I have to admit, I really like it. It's been on my makeup counter ever since I purchased it. And I actually use the brown to like fill in sparse areas in my hair because it has a little bit of a warm like auburn hue to it. A lot of you have said that the shadows in this palette make your eyes itch. And I have to say I have really sensitive eyes. And there have been a few days, especially when I go in with these like glimmer shades here, where I do notice that. I don't know what it is, but I continue to use the palette. So that's the only caution I have for you. Otherwise, very beautiful color selection, and these are extremely pigmented and smooth and easy to apply. So I don't know which option I'm gonna go for today. I don't even know if I've used the gold yet. Maybe we should use the gold. I think I'm gonna use the gold. So I'm gonna start out with the lightest color in the palette. This is actually more of like a transitional color for my crease right now since I am so fair. So I'm just gonna start out by, whoa, something was on my brush. Okay, literally speaking of using the brown for my like sparse areas, there's still brown on the brush, so love that for me. Okay, this is actually what it was supposed to look like. Okay, then I think I'm gonna take this cinnamon color down here, and I'm just gonna take a flat brush and use that for mainly the outer portion of my lid. Okay, then I'm going to take this slightly darker, warmer brown and basically just do the same thing. Okay, so one thing I like to do when I'm using the shimmers in this palette, if I really want a standout look, is I'll take a little bit of a cream base. So this is Bobbi Brown Vanilla, just a touch of it. And I'll use that as almost like a primer, something that the shimmer can hold on to. This is also just like really pretty by itself. I honestly use the matte colors in this palette more than I do the shimmers because the shimmers are pretty intense. And for like a daily look, I feel like the mattes are just perfect. But you can see this is also a really pretty way just to intensify if you want to do a matte style look. Okay, I think I'm going to mix the gold with like the lightest shell tone color because I'm afraid the gold might be a little bit too gold. So I'm just going to do a little swipe of the gold and mix in with the lightest shimmer. And these are very pigmented, so a little goes a long way. Yeah, super high shine finish. Very easy to apply. I always use my finger for this. And a little bit of mascara. Okay, I think I'm done. I actually really love this look. Everything came together perfectly. Most of the Makeup by Mario products I have thoroughly enjoyed, and I think you get a lot of product with his stuff. Like that cream bronzer I've had forever. I've been trying to use it up forever and I still have not hit pan on it. The blushes are in like huge blush sticks. I definitely think those would last a long time as well. I just don't know exactly how to take this because I think that there are several ways to manipulate it and maybe I just haven't found the right way yet. But no matter what I do, keep in mind, I feel like I do like see my skin and texture a little bit more than I do, let's say with like Holy Grail Armani Luminous Silk. You know what I would do? Just go to Sephora and get a sample if you're interested, because I definitely think it's something you'll have to play around with and decide if it is something that brings out your texture or if it balances and works well with your skin. It's just not going to be like a one size fits all foundation in my opinion. So hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit about it and seeing some more Makeup by Mario products in action. Look forward to Thursday's video. I'm going to be talking about a foundation. It's not a launch. This foundation's been out and I've had it in my cart for months. For months I've been considering buying this and I haven't. And I'm so mad that I didn't because it's absolutely like phenomenal. So another foundation review is going to be going up on Thursday. And I hope you enjoyed today's video and I'll see you very soon. Oh, bye.